Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another Pokemon TCG video. Today we have a really spooky deck with lots of ghosts, and it's only fitting that Phantom Forces brings us one of the most popular ghost Pokemon, Gengar. So Gengar EX is going to be the focus of the deck we have today. It has two attacks. The first one is Night Attack, put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's a decent attack. It's not great. 3 damage counters, just not what it used to be. But, hey, you know, if there's ever a Pokemon sitting on your opponent's bench that has 30 HP or less, well, we can target it down with Night Attack. I suppose that's an option. But the main reason we're going to be using Gengar EX is Dark Corridor. So Dark Corridor does 60 damage for 3 energy, and then your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned, and then you get to switch Gengar EX with one of your benched Pokemon. So, a lot of stuff going on there, but it's basically 60, poison, and switch. So this is going to function very similar to a Donphan deck, which we've seen quite a bit of, right? I mean, Donphan has been pretty popular ever since Strong Energy came out. So it's going to be pretty much the same concept, hit and run, but we get the benefit of poison here and a different type. So we'll try to take advantage of that and also take advantage of the fact that Gengar EX is just a basic Pokemon, not an evolution like Donphan is. Alright, so of course we're going to need to have some Pokemon to switch into. Now since we have all sorts of space opened up, we don't have to run 4-4 Donphan line like that deck does. We're going to be running a 3-3 line of Trevenant. So Trevenant is probably one of the most annoying Pokemon ever. That ability Forest Curse, as long as it's your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play any item cards, which is pretty devastating. So the idea here is to Dark Corridor and then switch into Trevenant, stop any item cards like Switch, or really any item cards. Just stopping those can be devastating. Pretty simple. Switch into Trevenant. This is one of your options to switch into. And, you know, Trevenant does have a 3 retreat cost, so we're going to be running 3 Float Stone to give it free retreat, so if it doesn't get knocked out, we can then retreat into Gengar. Once again, and attack. Pretty simple. So first one's going to be Trevenant. Like I said, disabling item cards for your opponent. Very powerful strategy. We see it all the time with Seismitoad EX, so being able to do it with Trevenant, just as good. Another option, we can switch into Sigilyph, and yes, you are able to switch into a Safeguard Pokemon with Gengar EX. They did rule on that. Gengar is the one switching to the bench. It's not really an effect on Sigilyph, so you can switch with Dark Corridor and promote Sigilyph. That is a thing, but yeah, good against Pokemon EX, the Avianoid Pokemon. Whatever in the world an Avianoid is, that is Sigilyph, apparently. But yeah, Safeguard stops Pokemon EX, slows them down quite a bit. And then we also have 2 Reshiram, just a nice big Pokemon. And this deck will probably struggle with Virizion Genesect, since it stops your poison, which is a big deal. So we're going to run a few Reshiram here as kind of walls against every deck, but against Virizion Genesect, it's more of a, hey, if you hit me, I'm going to do lots of damage with Outrage. So Reshiram seems like the Outrager that makes the most sense. Now, there is a Mega Gengar EX. I don't think it's good enough to have a deck built around it, but we will be playing it. Phantom Gate is the name of the attack. You get to use one of your opponent's attacks. Pretty cool. Very similar to Zoroark's Foul Play, except Phantom Gate, you can use any one of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks, even the ones on the bench. So this is pretty cool. 220 HP, pretty beefy Pokemon. And it is a Mega Evolution, but we have Gengar Spirit Link. If we put it on Gengar and then Mega Evolve, we don't have to lose our turn Mega Evolving. So we have 1 Mega Gengar just in case, and then 1 Spirit Link as well. Seems pretty good to me, just to have it in there. You never know when you need the big old Mega Gengar to get some big damage in there. So there are the Pokemon. I also want to mention Robo Substitute. It is basically a Pokemon in this deck. You put it down, Gengar switches into it, and if your opponent has to attack it, well, they just attacked and got no prize, basically a wasted attack. So Robo Substitute, gonna be playing 2 of these as well. Most of the time we do want to switch into Trevenant, but we have these other options. Hey, might as well have your options open. So since Dark Corridor does poison, we will be running 3 Burbank City Gym to make that poison damage add up just a little bit more. This will make sure we pretty much always get 2-hit knockouts on Pokemon EX. And that's really what we're trying to do with this deck. Get 2-hit knockouts, switch the Gengar to the bench, promote something that's really annoying, and, just try to take advantage of whatever your opponent is playing. So 3 Burbank City Gym. We got a couple Muscle Band. It's not super important to have this on Gengar, but we are going to run a couple of them just to make your attacks do a little bit more damage. Our supporters in this deck, we have 4 Professor Juniper, 4 N, 2 Colress, 2 Skyla, 2 Lysander, very important to finish off Pokemon that might retreat after being hit once by Dark Corridor, and then we have 2 VS Seeker as well to recover any supporter we want. Just a very versatile card. 4 Ultra Ball to search out our Pokemon. A startling Megaphone, just to get rid of some Pokemon tools. 1 Escape Rope, never know when you need to escape a sticky situation. And Dowsing Machine will be our A-Spec card in this deck. Just nice to recover one of our trainer cards in case we need another Spirit Link or a Float Stone or a Muscle Band or a Burbank or whatever you need. Dowsing Machine can get it back. The energy is not going to be particularly complicated. We have 4 double colorless since Dark Corridor takes a Psychic and 2 colorless. 6 Psychic Energy, and we're actually going to run 2 Mystery Energy as well. Mystery Energy, honestly, this is a pretty underwhelming energy when you compare it to Strong Energy, which is ridiculously good. Herbal Energy has some uses. Mystery Energy reduces your retreat cost. Yeah, not quite as good, but it is useful sometimes. Gengar does have a 2 retreat cost, so it's worth playing a couple Mystery Energy, I do suppose. I wouldn't max out on these because Enhanced Hammer can discard these, but yeah, still worth playing a couple. Now, I will openly admit that I have no idea how to build this deck. I have not tested it very much, and quite frankly, I don't think it's as good as Donphan. The multiple energy attachments it takes to use Dark Corridor, I don't like that. It takes 2 attachments, whereas Donphan can spinning turn for a single energy. I don't like the fact that it's an EX, that it's weak to Dark. Yveltal EX can knock it out pretty easily. Just a Lysander brings it out. And it also struggles with Virizion Genesect. So there are a lot of things going against this kind of deck, but in the correct metagame, against the right decks, this could be a pretty strong choice, especially with the Trevenant. So I don't know what to make of it. There are probably many other cards you could run in here that might make this deck a little better. Wobbuffet is one that comes to mind. You want to play that for that ability that shuts off every ability except Psychic Pokemon. That would be a good fit in here too, but this is what we have for now, and I'm sticking to it. So let's, as usual, check it out on Pokemon TCG Online, get a game going, see what we can do with the big bad ghost Gengar. So both of us are going to mulligan here. I see a strong energy and a fighting energy, and fighting Pokemon, that's fine. We're running Gengar, so I'm not really concerned about fighting Pokemon. Gengar does resist fighting. It's a very big benefit, actually. Makes it very difficult for Donphan to knock out a Gengar EX. It's really super annoying for them to do that. It basically won't happen with spinning turn. It'll probably take like 2 spinning turns at best. Probably 3 most of the time. And even a knockout with a Wreck is pretty difficult to pull off. And go figure, we are facing Donphan. So, we'll have to see how this goes. I'm going to start off putting that mystery energy on the Gengar. It's a mystery. And let's Ultra Ball away the Gengar Spirit Link. I don't feel like I'll need Mega Gengar in this matchup. And we'll also ditch a Lysander. A card we probably will like in this matchup, but BS Seeker can always get it back. And we'll drop the Muscle Band on the active and play an N right away. Just retreating into the Phantump and passing the turn. So don't want to get Gengar more damage than it has to be. I cannot use a Night Attack because I'm going first, so I can't use attacks. So yeah, might as well get the Gengar out of there and promote the Phantump, since if I can get a Trevenant this turn, it'll be beautiful. And I actually have a really beautiful hand. I had the Trevenant, DCE, and Skyla for a Floatstone, but nope, never mind. Looks like that's not happening. Got an N, and yeah. I do have a Trevenant and a DCE once again, so if we can happen to get a Floatstone, that'll be pretty cool. And we just see the Tackle from Fanpy still doing a pretty reasonable 30 damage. That's pretty good considering I resist fighting. Strong Energy and Muscle Band are ridiculous, man. So yeah, I'm going to play the N, and could not find the Floatstone or Escape Rope this turn. So unfortunately, I will have to pass on this turn. And poor Trevenant is going to take a big hit from Donphan, it looks like. But the Fighting Resistance could save me. Right now, Spinning Turn is doing, 80 damage. Minus the 20 from the Fighting Resistance, though. We're going to see a Lysander. Opponent is bringing out the Gengar, seeing that, okay, I don't want this thing to, just kind of run all over me all game. But I don't know. I don't know how much damage is going to do. 60. So yeah, that's not a lot. But hey, guess my opponent wanted to get some damage on it so that later it would be much easier to knock out the Gengar. Now, my opponent promotes Sigilyph, which is extremely annoying, since I am a Pokemon EX, as you can see right there. And that means I cannot damage Sigilyph with Dark Corridor, which is very annoying, because I'll have to use a different attacker. Yet another downside of using Gengar over Donphan. Have I mentioned I like Donphan better? Anyway, we're going to try to use Gengar to beat Donphan, though. Let's see if we can pull that off. I currently have no supporters or anything like that. I could have Mega Evolved into Mega Gengar, but I would rather have Dark Corridor than Phantom Gate at this point. Sure, I could copy Spinning Turn and continue my strategy, but I would just be doing a weaker strategy, and it just doesn't seem like a very good idea. So my opponent did retreat in the Spinning Turn, but Trevenant and its mighty Fighting Resistance keeps it alive by 20 HP. And my opponent, it's kind of an awkward spot for my opponent. They can't play Floatstone, so in order to retreat the Sigilyph, they have to pay an energy to retreat, which is pretty annoying. So Trevenant getting the job done here. It shuts down Floatstones, shuts down Switch and Escape Rope. So if that Donphan wants to come out, my opponent's going to have to play something, another energy to retreat, and that's fine with me. So here we go, Spinning Turn 60 and switch into Sigilyph. I'm going to promote the Gengar, has the Mystery Energy. And alright, well, at least I drew a Psychic Energy here. Now we can go ahead with Sigilyph and knock out their Sigilyph with my Sigilyph and Psychic for the knockout. Oh man, Sigilyph Inception. And here comes Donphan. He's dishing out 80 damage right now. Another strong energy could knock out the poor Sigilyph, but we shall see. I don't really know. Here comes Karina. So it looks like my opponent has drawn a supporter. There's a Fanpy. And what else are we going to see? It is going to be Muscle Band. Huh. Didn't expect that one. I was thinking a Bicycle, a VS Seeker, not a Muscle Band. But alright, we see a spinning turn switching into Fan P, but only 80 damage, so I'm actually surviving that attack. Now here I have a kind of a weird spot. I have a mystery energy, and I need to retreat Sigilyph so I can knock out Fan P with Gengar here. Do I attach the mystery energy to give Sigilyph free retreat, or do I just retreat? I decide Sigilyph probably won't be used again in this game, so we'll just save the mystery energy for later. Let's switch into the Robo Substitute and get the knockout on Fan P. And alright, things are looking good. And alright, my opponent plays an N and gives me a new hand. And now we're going to get some good stuff going. I like where we're headed. We're up a prize. Got the Robo Substitute up active. Got a spinning turn from a Donphan. And alright, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to get a Trevenant into play. I have a Robo Substitute. I could put that down, but I think I need to start powering up a new Gengar at this point. Seems pretty good. So we'll Ultra Ball for another Gengar and Professor Juniper. And I could attach a Float Stone here. I could probably just wait on that. Yeah, why not? We'll use Dark Corridor and switch into the Trevenant. And we have locked down item cards once again. Not going to be as useful this time around, since my opponent already has Muscle Bands down, already has a couple Donphan in play. But you never know when shutting down items can be helpful, especially now that VS Seeker is in the format. A very, very powerful card that a lot of decks will rely on. And, shutting down Ultra Ball is always big, stuff like that. So you cannot overlook that. Now, what will my opponent do here? Donphan is going to do 60 damage with a spinning turn. It's enough to get a 2-hit knockout on Trevenant. That's pretty annoying, but we'll see if we can deal with that. Cammy is coming in and saying, hey, hurry up, buddy. Make a move, or else you are done. We see the Professor Juniper, and I think my opponent discarded a strong energy. I'm not sure when that happened, if that was on that Juniper. Kind of weird if it was. Seems like you would pretty much always want to play that strong energy down, but what do I know? We're going to see the spinning turn into Reshiram. And, okay, so Reshiram is not a Pokemon I can knock out in one hit. It's pretty annoying, actually. So we're going to have to find some way to deal with that. I think I could Dowsing Machine here for a Lysander and then knock out a Donphan on the bench, but I would rather just Colress for a bunch of cards. That's just kind of how I feel. And I get a bunch of good cards. We're going to Ultra Ball, discard. I have to discard 2 cards. I don't know if I'll need any more Pokemon to switch into at this point. Sigilyph and Reshiram may just be just unnecessary at this point in the game. I'm going to grab another Trevenant, though. That seems very necessary. We'll power up a second Gengar, and, we are pulling off our strategy here. Slowly but surely, we are getting the job done, and, that's the thing. When you play a deck like this, it is going to be slow and steady. It's not going to be like a Plasma deck where you take your prizes in big chunks and game's over by turn 5, something like that. No, with this deck, we're going to slow it way down. And it's going to take forever to win the game, but you're just hoping that your strategy grinds down your opponent to eventually win the game. So, Reshiram gets a double colorless. That's pretty big because my opponent couldn't play a Float Stone, again, to retreat. So there's a big turn from my opponent. And, alright, I have another Float Stone. We can just put that down. I'm certainly just going to knock out the Reshiram since it has so much damage on it. It is doing more damage than a Donphan would. So I may as well just knock that out. I have a Skyla. I guess I'll play it. I don't really need to, but I will play it. We'll just grab any card that could help me here. I'm going to go with a Muscle Band. Sounds good to me. And we'll go ahead and drop a Muscle Band on one of my Gengar. And this way, at least I do a little more damage now. I guess. Sure, we'll go with that. So let's retreat into the Gengar and Dark Corridor. Knock out that Reshiram. And we are now down to 3 prizes. So 3 to go. 3 down, 3 to go. Here comes Donphan, though. And this is still anybody's game. Don't let the prize count fool you. Donphan has that very intimidating Wreck attack, which can do a lot of damage. Can certainly knock out a Gengar in one hit. So if we see Lysander and Wreck, we could easily see a 2-prize swing at some point. You betcha. Okay, so my opponent promotes another Reshiram right here. Certainly, well, I have VS Seeker. I could play that. Could probably grab a Lysander and take a knockout here. Or we could at least bring out a Donphan. So I have 2 options with the Lysander. Well, 3 of them, technically. Dedenne, not an option I'm going to take. It's either the Donphan that I can knock out or the Donphan that I can soften up. And if I had Burbank City Gym in play, I might go for the Donphan with the 2 energy on it, since I could finish it off with a Night Attack later on. But since I don't have Burbank in play, we're just going to go for the Donphan that I can knock out, and Dark Corridor for the knockout. And I'm actually just going to promote Reshiram here, since it's not easily knocked out by my opponent. Would force a Lysander or something of the sort. Perhaps just promoting Trevenant there is the better idea, but I didn't want to lose my item lock to a simple spinning turn. I don't know. I don't know what was better there. Perhaps just putting out Trevenant was the way to go. But, oh well. You live and you learn, folks. You live and you learn. It's going to be tough for my opponent to knock out Reshiram. And if he doesn't knock out Reshiram, this is a beautiful turn. But, never mind. It could be a pretty ugly turn. So here is a Lysander onto the Gengar. A double strong energy, a muscle band, a fighting stadium. Ouch! That's adding up to a lot of damage. And there's an Ultra Ball for another Sigilyph. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe I will attack with Sigilyph again. Spinning turn. Oh, goodness. I actually survived. The fighting resistance is real, folks. We survived with 10 HP on Gengar. How silly is that? 10 hit points. All that stands between Gengar and the discard pile. Oh, man, that's pretty huge. Cannot believe we just survived that. Seems like I should be getting knocked out, but hey, I will take it. Gonna go ahead with the Juniper at this point. Look at that, I have a handful of supporters and a card that can get a supporter. So that's where all my supporters are hiding. We're gonna do another Sigilyph on Sigilyph knockout. So Sigilyph, MVP, I think. Taking 2 knockouts on its own kind. Takes a lot of nerve to do that. And we do see my opponent's second Sigilyph go down to my first one. Still Psychic. And I gotta think it's because he's gold. That's the main reason he's been knocking the other Sigilyph out. He's just a superior Sigilyph. But we do see the spinning turn. And no N for my opponent. So I can go ahead and VS Seeker for Lysander and bring out poor little Dedenne. And Dark Corridor for the win. Slowly but surely grinding down the opponent for all 6 prizes. The evil, evil grin of Gengar overcomes Donphan. I would say that's probably a good matchup, just based on the fighting resistance, but you never know. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed Gengar, the mascot of Phantom Forces. I hope you enjoyed. I will certainly have some more videos for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.